I'm sharing my screen. Can you guys see it? This I told you, right? Last time there are three different flavors of deployment: CloudHub, customer hosted runtime, and runtime fabric. CloudHub is a MuleSoft provided deployment place where you can with the PaaS as platform as a service component of any point platform. This CloudHub is a PaaS service there, and this is MuleSoft hosted, and Mule runtimes is on AWS behind the scene. On the background, this server is running on AWS, Amazon Web Services, and it is a fully managed multi-tenanted globally available, secure and high availability is also there, and also these are deployed across the globe in different areas like Asia, Pacific, and UK, US, different places. They have the servers, and you can choose whichever service you want in those areas. You will get a list of options to select a region, and you can deploy based on that. We'll look at that slowly. And when it comes to customer hosted Mule runtime, it means that they want the runtime to be on the customer side. I explained you in the last session.
Yeah, this one completed, I guess.
Yeah, and then runtime fabric. It's a Mule customer hosted containerized service as a runtime plane, and it's a technology containerized based. These are all not containerized server based, but this is containerized. Containerized means they are just like in the docking station where the big container ships comes, right? They have different containers. Each container will have different pods, and each pod will have a server. It's like that. So altogether it's a Kubernetes containerized service. Yeah, we completed this, and we have seen on how to deploy to the CloudHub, right? And yeah, let's look at the walkthrough. Deploy an application, deploy to CloudHub, and we deployed. And then testing the application, we tested that. We completed till here in the fifth part. Now we'll be looking at how to create proxies. So all of you open your AnyPoint platform. Once you open AnyPoint platform, go to the runtime API manager. In the API manager, select sandbox environment. API manager here. In the API manager, you can select the sandbox. If it's not sandbox, here at the top left. If it's not sandbox, go to sandbox environment. If you click that, you'll get option. If you have multiple environments, I'm sure it's not, because yours is a new account. So choose sandbox here, and then here you find this blue button which says add API, right? Click on this, and then
Just a second. It asking me sandbox active. Open your profile to change default environment.
yeah, just select
Ha
sandbox
ha ha.
and then switch.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, now click on add API, the blue button, and then add new API, the first option. So we're trying to add an API to manage. So API is already there deployed on the CloudHub. So there are multiple APIs deployed on different runtimes, right? So we to manage an API, we have to come to this API manager option. So you have various options here: access management, API management, runtime management, API governance, visualizer, monitoring. These are all different services offered by MuleSoft. So these are all management services. So in this management center, you will find API manager. So in the API manager, we have to choose which API we want to manage. For that, we are trying to add an API. So add new API and then select Mule gateway, not the gateway. So there are different gateways here, or the runtimes. Flex gateway, it means that it's an ultra fast API gateway designed to manage and secure APIs running anywhere. So it can be on-prem or different, even it can be a non-MuleSoft API. You can still manage that API here. So if there is a server service which is developed on Java or .NET, and that API is running on some other server, right? So all that APIs also can be used to can be managed using this API manager using this Flex gateway. Okay, so
Okay.
yeah, and now let's select MuleSoft. Mule Gateway. Service Mesh is something else. This is to manage Kubernetes based non-Mule microservices with any point service mesh. Since we are completely dealing with a Mule application, right, and which is on CloudHub, so we are choosing the Mule Gateway option here. In the Mule Gateway, select the proxy type as deploy a proxy application. So in this exercise, in this module, we are trying to create and deploy a API proxy. Okay, an API proxy means it's like a top, it's a application control access basically to a web service. Whatever, right now we have a web service, right, which is deployed in runtime manager. So let me show you here in the runtime manager. So we have this web service. This is an API web service. These are all same. So this API, we are trying to create a API proxy. So what is API proxy? API proxy is again an application, which is just a layer on top of this. Okay, that controls access to this web service here, and this restricts the access and usage throughout the use of this API gateway. So let's assume one moment. Let me. So this is one API proxy we are creating right now, and then this proxy will be a proxy to this application, which we are seeing here, training for American Web Services, right? So this, whatever the traffic comes in from the external source, from the external internet network, that comes through this proxy first, and proxy will be the filter, like a funnel, and then this will allow the traffic to this API which we are talking here. Make sense?
Yeah.
That this will also act like a gateway, right? This is a gate here. This gateway is a mule time designed and optimized to host an API or to open a connection to the API deployed to another runtime. So assume right now we are dealing only with this MuleSoft service, but there can, as I told, there are different APIs also, right? You can manage non-MuleSoft and all. So for all these applications, this can act like a proxy, like a gateway. That is the meaning of API proxy. So this will be the network gateway to remaining APIs. Every application can have its own proxy as well, but right now we are designing one proxy for this application. This is included as a part of Mule runtime, and separate license are required if you need more proxies, but you don't have to worry about that now. But so proxy gives an endpoint, and then that will acts like a gateway to this backend APIs, and also that will determine which traffic to allow to that to our API, right? That is the main advantage. And also this will monitor the traffic, and we can get the logs of all the transactions, and applies Mule runtime policies. Policies is the biggest concept here. That's the whole purpose of doing the proxies. We can apply policies, policies in the sense like we can have multiple policies, rate limiting policy, spike control policy. Like our API, these policies are all to protect our API. So assume there are a lot of traffic coming into this API, then we'll apply a policy on the proxy level to protect this. Like only this amount of traffic has to be sent to this API. Only for only per 1 second, only 100 request has to come in, or only 50 request has to come in. That is a policy we are restricting. Or we can say only people with these IP addresses can access this application. That is another policy. So there are multiple policies. These are all the security principles which can be applied to our APIs. And again, these APIs can be MuleSoft or non-MuleSoft APIs, but we can just create a proxy to that APIs and then apply the policies. Don't get confused between the terminology of policies, proxies, and APIs. Are you clear there?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So we'll look at how to deploy these, apply these policies to our API now. Okay, now let's go back to this place, and then right now we are creating a proxy type as deploy a policy proxy application, because we already have connect to the existing application. Also we can do that, but let's look at the deploy a proxy application now. Select a deployment target and deploy a mule application to serve as a proxy. So we are asking now, the proxy type can be two types. Connect to endpoint application, a basic endpoint, it will give you, or deploy a proxy application. We want to have a application directly, and that application, this is just like deploying another API into the runtime manager, right? So here we are again choosing the target type as CloudHub. Since hybrid, we haven't configured hybrid. We are choosing CloudHub. Hybrid is some, again, I explained in the previous classes. So here we have to name the proxy app name. For the proxy app name, we have to be closer to whatever the API we already have. So I have this API already there. I'm applying a proxy to that API. So I copied the name there and then paste it here. And for this, I'll just make small change. I'll just put API dash mule.
Yeah. Can you wait for a second? I opened Runtime Manager and I need to copy the same name, right? Training for American
Yes.
WS.
Yeah.
And I need to rename to API.
Remove the WS and then type API dash manage mule, mmule.
Okay.
Once you are here, you can also select the version, but we are using the latest version 4.4.0, which is by default, so let it be there. Now click on next button and M and try. This is also already taken. um, so name something which it will be unique. You can put your initials. I will put JK at the end and click next. And now here it shows already a app here, right? View and exchange. So we'll select this app. This is what we are applying the policy for. Proxy, right? Proxy, we are creating a proxy for this application. This application is again the one which we have deployed here, so that is popping up here. So we are selecting that, and then this is available in exchange, that's why it came here. And at the bottom here you can select, Yeah, these are all good. And then click next. So here set the URI parameter for the endpoint. So this URI parameter can be, um, let's go again back to,
So here we are creating policy for proxy.
yes, no, we are creating policies, not don't go to the policy yet. Right now we are just creating a proxy to an application which is already deployed in CloudHub.
Yeah, okay.
Policy we'll look at slowly. So here we have this endpoint, right? Copy this endpoint
Just a second. Endpoint. Yeah. Okay.
and paste it here. Here implementation URI. Make sure there are no spaces before and after. Slash, and if you remember our API call was like slash API, right? Slash API slash flights and all. So slash API. And then go down and port is right and click next. Just to make sure, just one time, I'll just test this service slash. It's working perfect. So next, and then here I have some more details. uh, just to verify, we have the runtime as mule gateway, and then proxy type as proxy, and target type is CloudHub latest runtime, and the application name, API name, which we are applying for. So this is being selected from the exchange here, so that is why we are getting this here. And then the endpoint we are applying for. Base path, it's okay to be just empty. So make sure this first session is correct. Runtime is definitely mule gateway, and this, once you verify all this, then you can click on save and deploy. Can anyone tell what happens now once I click save and deploy?
Like we created proxy.
Yeah, but where do I see that application?
It's in APIs.
See,
Exchange.
in
Yeah.
the runtime manager, you will see that there is one more application getting deployed in you. In the meanwhile, you can go back and go to this place your API is being deployed to 4.4. Click on the actions tab here on the top left, and then select this manage CloudHub proxy. So when you click this, it took me to the place where the application is there, and also its properties. So here we can see the same thing running. So right now we are in runtime manager. Earlier it was API manager. So in this way you can go to this manage application proxy, this application settings. Any questions so far?
No.
Okay. Let it deploy. Once this is deployed, here we will get an active sign. So right now, if you go back in the API manager, if you we were inside this application. So if you click on this API administration button, it will take you back and show you the number of proxy applications there. So right now we created one, and it is unregistered because this is still going on, and then now it's deployed.
Here for every API, we need to create a proxy, right?
It's not required. I'm just showing how to create a proxy.
Okay.
I personally never created a proxy so far. This is just for your knowledge purpose.
Okay.
So now our but this says unregistered. So now it's active. Do you see the status? If you see API administration also, now it says active. Now the
No, it
proxy
says
is,
unregistered.
yeah, yeah, wait, give it some time. It will become active soon.
Okay.
It's active now.
Active, right? Okay. What about you, Kanil?
Yeah, it's active.
Okay. Now let's go inside this and then click on in the endpoint. One moment. View configuration details. Yeah, click on this view configuration details. So here right now you see that this bottom application, whatever is there, right? This for this we have applied the API gateway, and then the customer is calling from here. This is how the what we are doing right now.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm just checking if this URL is same as the one we saw here, ws8005du. Yep, and 61 EAS USA is 2. Okay, so this is our backend application. Okay, and that is the details. And on the settings page here, see, so go to Exchange here and type American flights. We already have here, so go to that. In the American, you see
In
manage
exchange,
in a,
uh, in ex in exchange, I need to type American Flights API that we created.
yeah, there is only one we published, so you'll see that.
Hmm.
So once you see that, go on top and click on the manage versions
Okay.
button. So you see that there are three versions, and the
I
on the
have only two.
oh, that is fine. Yeah, you have to because I
I
sent
think in
you.
Windows we don't have 1.0.2 because last time when we are creating proxy, that time it showed the latest version is 1.0.1, not 1.0.2. It was showing 1.0.2 in your PC.
Yeah, that is because I sent you files. We already covered those version difference. I mean, we created 1.0.1 in the part 4 of training. So that's why you didn't do that on your day. So you directly created the two also in one because of my help. I help you create the folders and all, right, in the last part.
Yeah. We pasted
Don't,
folders and
yeah,
all.
don't worry about the version difference. It's okay. They're
Okay.
all different. You have different, I have different.
Yeah.
And now click on close and just to make sure we have the, that's how you see the versions, number of versions. In the API console, now let's go to flights and then click on get method. In the API console here, you will see that in that there is no drop down here anymore to select the instance, and the URL indicates that only the mocking service is available, right? Earlier it was earlier, if you see, if you notice, earlier it was mocking service and also the version which is pointing to the dev. That's how we tested. Now this is all blacked out, grayed out, only there are no options, it's just one, this one. So here at the bottom here on the left side, you have the API instance. Click on that API instance.
Can you show me again? I can't find API
At
instance.
the bottom, you have the API instance,
Yeah, API instance.
left side bottom. So it shows the instances that you have, and it shows that the only mocking service is available here. This mocking service, this is the public one.
For me, it is a private visibility.
Here on the top,
Yeah, here it is. Visibility is like private. I guess because of the version 1.0.1.
no, it's not like that. Um, it has to be public. I think during the creation of this, on that day, you there is an option where you have to select public, make it public.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you have not
Yeah,
selected it.
once I go through with the might be in my next practice, I will check this.
Okay.
Okay.
And okay, let's go back to with the API manager here. In the API manager, in the settings page, for our Americans flights API, and you see that in where is the here in the policies tab, there are no policies, and even here, where is the policy here? Right. Okay. You click that, and the drop down will come. There you will
Consumer.
see the consumer endpoint. So the consumer endpoint will be the one which we just copied. So paste it there, and also, um,
We need to include HTTP.
yeah, include the HTTP colon slash slash, and then slash at the end of cloudhub.io, and then save it. So what we are doing is we are trying to say that the endpoint, consumer endpoint is different, implementation endpoint is different. Implementation endpoint is the AP URL of the app which we deployed on the Cloud Hub. But consumer endpoint, we want consumers to point to our proxy application before we point it to our API, right? So basically, this is the URL of the proxy, and this is the URL of our application. So which one, when a consumer hit, when someone hits our API, which one, which URL should the first one be hit? Which URL should be exposed first?
The API one
The
or the consumer?
consumer endpoint or the implementation endpoint?
I guess the first one, the implementation URL.
No, no. Implementation URL is the one which is already there here, right?
Yeah,
This,
the whole API one,
but
the application.
we created proxy so that the outside traffic first comes to the proxy, right?
Yeah,
So
proxy will filter and it will send to API, as you said.
yeah, that's why this is called a consumer endpoint. Now it makes
Okay.
sense, right?
So customer will click on the proxy one as it filters and will send to the
Correct.
API.
Correct. So that's why here we are copying the proxy URL, and in the runtime and endtime configuration, we are pasting it like here in the consumer endpoint. Once you click and save, then your API will be redeployed, the proxy API on the Cloud Hub. So it's redeploying right now to apply those changes. So it's tying up. You understand, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So once the proxy is available, if you go to this exchange assert in the get, here you might see the drop down. It will ask, so it will ask if you want to select the proxy or the mail implementation URL. That is our aim to do now once this got deployed.
Okay.
Okay, it started. Now once it started, we'll go back to our exchange American Flights API. In the get again, let's check get, refresh. Now you see, now we have mocking service and the sandbox drop down, right? Now you can either select a mocking service or the version in the sandbox. This is what
Yes.
I'm requesting. So assume we give this URL to on a to some private public network to a customer, this exchange. So in that case, let's open to a browser with incognito mode, and then test this. Yeah, so Kanil, here when you click on this share button, Here in the public, you have to check in this version 1. That's where you will see the public. Earlier you asked, right, how to get this public. Kanil, are you there?
Hello? Yes, yes, sir. In American flights API, I need to go API specification summary and then
No, no, in the
share
share
button.
button. Yeah, share.
Yeah, and
Go to public and then check in this version 1
yeah, yes, I did it now.
and then
So
save.
my private will become to public.
Yes. Public portal. Yeah, click on the public portal. So in the exchange on the side, if you click on the public portal, it will take you to the public portal. So copy this URL, go to incognito mode and then paste it here and then wait for that to load. So here it is a public portal. So when I open incognito mode, it means that some other guy is testing this service. So we are basically testing this service as a outsider, as a client, right, as a consumer or a customer. So we go here and right now, since a consumer or a customer will not see, whenever you want to look for the uh, testing the service, he will not see the mocking service anymore. He'll just see this one URL because this is public. This is the proxy URL which we configured right now, right? This is how you configure right now. You see there is no mocking service, but here in our exchange, where is our exchange? So in our exchange, when we test the application, we get the mocking service and also the sandbox version. But in the public portal, you only see this URL here. So this is hitting what? The proxy or our application? Which one is this hitting?
Application?
This is the proxy endpoint. So this is the customer or a client, external person using this service. This is incognito mode. This has no relation to our API. So we configured a proxy on top of our application so that whenever traffic comes in, it hits the proxy first and then
Yeah,
sends.
it's yeah,
So this is the endpoint of proxy.
yeah, the one we created. Okay.
Yes. Don't get confused. If you have confusion, ask me.
Yeah, now it's clear. The customer will hit to the proxy we created. It filters and send to the application.
Correct. So this is right now, this is incognito mode. Like I am the customer seeing, and I only have one URL. This is the proxy URL. That is what I wanted to show you. And now we tested it. So the proxy is applied, right? Now let's assume we don't want external people to access this. How do we restrict this proxy? Suppose my business requirement is no one should access out of the network. No customer out of the network should access that. Only people who have a account with MuleSoft under our organization are only need to access that. So for that we have to go to the exchange here back, and on the left side you will see the navigation, right? Where is it? API instances is there, right? Come to this API instances, and here you have mocking service and sandbox. These are the two things. So the first one is public, that's why you are seeing it public. Now once we change this to private, then so or let's see if we want to test the application also, right? Right now only the proxy is available. Now I want sandbox also, this direct access to application also available. So I'll click on this drop down and click public. Now both are public. Now I will save. Okay, now I will save and go back, and now just to check again, I come to application instance. Both are public, right? Now let's click on this public portal again and open this in as a new person in a incognito mode. So in the incognito mode, now my aim is to see the mocking service as well as the proxy. See, now I have the
Sandbox.
proxy and proxy.
Yeah.
And let me ask you this. If I don't want the mocking service available, then what should I do for the customer?
We need to make it private.
Yeah, we have to come back here and then click on, uh,
API instance.
yeah, where is that? In the exchange, go to your exchange and then API instances and then change it to private.
Private.
Okay, you got it. And then now, if you go back to the API manager, right? And then in the API manager, we are managing this American Flights API. So if you click that, you see the request coming in. And also you will see this proxy is if there are this proxy is applied to multiple APIs. Then you can see top apps which got the request and how much latency is there, all those details. And also you can see in the actions drop down here, you can click on the analytics dashboard here, view analytics dashboard. So this will show you from where you are getting the request. Do you see this? Right now all the request is coming from USA, so that's why USA is in.
Traffic.
Yeah, so you can build the dashboards, you can do a lot of things. When you click on the actions, go to analytics dashboard. Got it, right?
Yes.
Okay. And let's go back to our training modules. Now we completed all this, and now requesting access to APIs. So here the API manager, which we just saw, to manage access to API proxies and define the SLAs. SLAs means service layer agreement, and apply Mule runtime policies. The API gateway enforces the policy as we just discussed, right? The API proxy, all the request comes here, and then that will act like a API a gateway, and then that will send the request to the backend original APIs, actual APIs, implementation APIs. And then there is one option called API auto discovery. It's a mechanism that enables a deployed Mule application to download policies from API manager, act as its own policy. So to apply policies, now we are slowly going into applying the policies to the API proxy again. Okay, to apply the policy, we have this one technology called auto discovery. So this is the auto discovery has to be implemented, enabled to our application, Mule application, so that the policies can be applied specifically only for policies. This is just API auto discovery. Always remember, people will ask you in the interviews also, how does an API gets implemented a policy? How do people implement a policy to an API? By using the API auto discovery mechanism, you have to say. We'll go into on how to do that API auto discovery. Okay. So there are, let's discuss about the policies. There are multiple policies as you see here: client ID enforcement, cross origin resource sharing, OAuth, header injection, header removal, IP blacklist and whitelist, basic authentication. Basic authentication means it's simple, just username and password. And then you have JSON thread protection, LDAP, and message logging, rate limiting, spike control. These are all different policies that are available out of the box. Like these are all the available policies that you can choose from the API manager. If you want some custom policies also, if a customer wants a custom policy like Google authentication or reCAPTCHA or some of these security policies, right? You can also implement that through custom policies. Custom policies is a completely different way of implementation and coding that won't be covered in this tutorials in this training, but it's advanced topics. So right now we'll just see how to use this out of the box policies. Okay. So as I said, SLA means service level agreement. This defines the number of requests that can be made per time frame to an API, as I said, right? Request approval can be set to automatic or manual again. Whenever request comes in, it can set to be automatic or manual. So now let's walk through this. In this, we'll add and test a rate limiting policy. So we are applying a policy now that is called rate limiting policy to our application. And then the SLA, service level agreement, is that service level agreement means uh, our service, whatever the service we are offering, to that level we are agreeing certain rules, certain policies, that means SLAs. And then here at this point, one with manual approval required. So whoever wants to access this policy, some people wants to use our API, then they have to request an access to our application, and then we will approve that application. One manual approval required, that is the SLA here. And test the rate limiting SLA based policy, and also we'll test the applied rate limiting policies in this walkthrough. So return to the settings page of your American Flights API in the API manager. Let's go to the API manager again. So whenever we manage something with the APIs, where do we go? To the API manager. In the API manager, select the American Flights API, which we already selected. And then under the policies here, do you see on the left side, there is policies button?
Yes.
Yeah, click on the policies and then add policy. Here you have an option which is called add policy. Once you click add policy, you will see all these policies are present.
Mm.
See, there are so many
Yes.
policies that you can apply. So as per the exercise, we will be looking at rate limiting policy. So where is rate limiting policy? Here, select the rate limiting policy in the quality of service, not
Okay.
the SLA based. Click only the rate limiting and
Okay.
then click next. And here we'll configure the policy. So right now, if you see, number one, first policy, number of requests. How many requests do we want? Let's
Then
say three. Let's say three. And then time period one. Once three, and then uh, let's select a minute. So every minute I can only allow three requests, and I will only respond to three requests. If more than three requests comes, we don't take.
okay.
That will be the uh,
Policy.
policy. And then here click on the expose headers here, and then go down. Then you have the advanced options, right? In the click on that, it will expand. In the advanced options, um, apply configure to all APIs and methods and resources. So right now, we have our API, right? This guy has multiple endpoints. These are all endpoints. So one is get method, one is flights, one is ID, and get post. All these are there. So sometimes we have requirements like, hey, get method to get all the flight details. Because this is a more cost oriented call, let's put a limit like 100 requests. And then post is like only few calls will be coming, because not everybody will be posting the data to our service. So we can limit them to 50 requests per 1 minute. So there will be sometimes these kind of policies, these kind of requirements, SLAs, to be applied to our API. So in that case, if you want to do specifically to API methods and resources, then you will select this option. By default, we are applying policies to all the methods and APIs here. So that's why we are selecting apply configuration to all the API methods and resources. Make sense?
Yes, yes.
And then
Yeah.
yeah, and then click on apply now. So right now we are applying which policy? Rate limiting policy. Whenever you apply, uh, in the exchange, in the flights endpoint, get method. Now let's test the API. Now I'm selecting ID number 1. First request sent, we got the response. Second request sent, we
Can
got the
can,
response.
can you do it again?
No, just testing the API in exchange. So
Okay.
third request to
Third.
it is complete.
Okay.
What about the fourth request? It should deny.
It
See,
won't come. Yeah.
quota has
Policy.
been exceeded. And on the top, you'll see error number, error code 429, too many requests.
Yeah.
How does it feel now? We are protecting the API from by applying a policy. So all we did to apply a policy, we go to our API manager, because applying policy means managing an API. And then we already added what application we want to manage here, right? So we go into that application and then click on policy and then add policy. You can add multiple policies also. So right now I applied rate limiting policy to all the APIs and resources, and then that's it. You don't have to do anything. You can go, once it's applied, you'll see it's enabled. You'll go to your any point exchange or any call, and then you can just call this. So next minute has come. Now again, how many requests I can send?
3.
3 requests. So first request went, second request went successful, third request also successful. Now fourth request 429, too many requests.
Okay.
So that's how you apply the. Did you also get the same error?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Perfect, perfect. So now let's create the SLA tires. So our next requirement here is add SLA tires, right? So now what we are trying to do is some guy or some client or some customer wants to access this entire API. To access this API, we are restricting now. Right now, we are putting a SLA tier. SLA tier is something, it's a service level agreement. So that guy has to request me, hey, can I use this service? So we'll be getting a request and then we'll approve it, because we own the service. We own the American Flights API. So some other guy wants to access this entire application or exchange or whatever it is, and then we'll say, okay, yeah, if you request, then we'll watch out who is requesting and then we will approve based on the decision. So how to do this one now? So in the to do this,
Policy.
yeah, this is not policy. So what the policies we just saw. Now we are looking at the SLA tier. SLA tier is, let's see, in the, again we go to the API manager. Whatever we do for the application and to manage it, we'll go to the API manager. In the API manager, below the policies, you will see the SLA tiers. So click on the SLA tier and then you have to select add SLA tier.
Okay, for manual approval, we need to go to SLA.
Yes,
There.
it's called service level agreement.
Okay. For any kind of policy, we need to go to policy. For the
Policies,
manual, we need to go SLA. There.
correct.
Okay.
And now let's say there is some free version of our API to test. Okay, so let's type free, and then in the description or in the approval, let's put automatic. This is a free version, so we don't have to approve. And for one request, time period only one, and for 1 minute. This is a free version. So let's add this. I added this, so now it's active. Okay, now next one, I'll add one more SLA tier, and here I'll type silver. Now there are different levels of customers who paid some money to me. They paid like some amount for me to use this service, so I'm providing this service as a uh, providing this service based on the tiers. Now silver tier is something I put to my API. and this approval process is manual. Now I want manual process because not everybody is silver. They, I will check if they are silver or not, and then I approve. I check if they pay money or not. So here also I'll put one request, one, but this will be for 1 second, not for 1 minute. Earlier free one was for 1 minute. Now I'll take, I'm, since they are silver, they can access more. Each second they can access one, right? Now I click add. Now how I have silver and free, two tiers, right? Are you getting?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
nice. So let's go to our policies here, and in the rate limiting policy, you check here the policy is enabled, right now. And then right now if only 3 requests can be sent as per this policy, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so right now we'll just say remove policy, and then this has been removed. Policy has been removed successfully because we don't want to confuse. Now we got some tiers. Nice
Yeah.
tier.
Now unlimited requests can come
No,
as there is no
how,
policy.
how unlimited? Because we have 2 tiers. Free one is only one request for 1 minute, and silver
Okay.
tier, which has a manual request and response, right? We have to approve manually.
Okay. Okay.
That is for 1 minute, one request for 1 second. So there is no unlimited concept here.
Okay. I got it now.
Yeah, we are, so the requirement is like that. The client or our service wants such a requirement, SLA based tires, right? So that's
Hmm.
how we configure. So now let's test this. Okay, before we test, we remove the policy, and then let's see, in the quality of service category, where is that? And then choose the rate limiting SLA based, and then click next. Now let's say one more thing. So go back to policies and add a policy. So in the add a policy, choose, now we had SLA and also rate limiting policy. Let's say there is one more option here, SLA limiting, rate limiting by with SLA based. So select that one, okay, and click next.
Hmm.
When you click next, then you have the configure parameters. So it's having the client ID and client secret. So you, a customer has to use the exact client ID and client secret to use our service. This is what we are trying to do here. So here also we'll do expose headers option checked in, okay, and then apply. Once you apply, you will see that rate limiting option is enabled, policy is enabled.
Yeah.
So what this means is, whenever customers request access to us, I don't know to which customer has requested access and which customer has not. So whoever request access, I'll give them the client ID and client secret. So that guy can use that. So it's like taking a subscription from my API. So they bought a subscription called silver tier application, silver layer subscription. So silver layer application will get a username and password, just like we have for Netflix and Amazon. We have a username and password. So we got the subscription, we can go and access the service. In the same way, people who want to use American Flights API, who got my silver layer of request access for silver tier, I'll send them a client ID, client secret. So whenever they make call to this application, whenever they try to access our American Flights API, they'll send that client ID and client secret as the username and password, and that will be the that will be the way how they request our use our application, American Flights application. So let's go back to our Flights API, and then here let's just refresh. Okay, under our API manager, go to settings here in the American Flights API. In the settings, if you click on the runtime and endpoint configuration, uh, here we'll see that API instance label, which is optional. So right now we'll change it from this to rate limiting. So we applied the rate limiting, not the normal rate limiting. Let's go to policies. Here we applied the rate limiting SLA based. So copy this name, come to settings, go to runtime and endpoint configuration, and then paste it here in the API instance label.
Okay.
And then save and apply. And once you click save and apply, this will basically redeploy your application here. So it's still applying. Now it will deploy. See, it's updating, the proxy is updating. So whatever changes we are making, it's all applied to the policy, not our app. So our app is sitting there nicely, which is secured, and which is private. Now all the changes, policies, SLA tiers are all applied to our API proxy, which is a top layer for our API, American Flights API, right? Now wait for it to deploy. Once it's deployed, we can test it. And then we'll see on how to request access. Kanil, did you apply that here? The name, rate limiting SLA based.
Yes, I did in runtime manager. The proxy is getting updated.
Okay. So let it apply. It will take some time, but you can already come here to the exchange and then test this application. Now, if you request access, since it's we are securing the apps, free tier and also silver and also SLA based on rate limiting. So when we test the application, it says a bad request, invalid parameters, parameter ID is missing. So this is what invalid client ID or client secret. This is expected because right now my application has not requested for any. I mean, I don't know who is requesting the service. We will only approve the access when the request comes in, right? So we'll look at the next part now, how to request and grant access to the applications. So here we'll request application access to SLA tier from private or public API portals. You know how to access portal. You go to exchange and then you go to exchange, and here if you click public portal, you will get the portal. This is how the portal is. Why we are using portal? Can anyone of you answer? What is the advantage of this portal? What is portal?
The public and private one.
Yeah, public one. Portal means yeah, it can be public mostly. Why do we use this? What is this used for?
Portal will use to keep the URL like the private or public. That's why.
No, we portal is something. It's like a portal for some customers or people. It's like a portal. People access something through this portal. It's like a entry point, right? Portal. So
Okay.
API portal means it's giving access to some APIs. People land here. They don't require any login details or anything. So this portal, if I copy right now, it says here my name. But if I open in a incognito mode and paste this, now there is no login and all. But this is a portal where I can see, okay, this application has been provided in under this URL. So I can see all
Okay,
the
got it.
details. So this is what portal is. People who don't
Hmm.
have access, they can use this portal to see the application. Okay, so
Okay.
our target here is request application access to the SLA tier from private and public API portals. So this means that people who are having this portal, they can request access to this API. So they want to use, they like the service, they want to access this. I mean, they want to register, just like in Netflix and Amazon Prime, whatever it is. You want to access that service, you will register, right? You will request access. Registering means, So here also we'll see how to request access and how to approve it. Once the request comes, how to approve it and approve the application request in the to the SLA tiers in the API manager. To all this, it's always we are doing it on the API manager because it's we are managing an API. These are all not the business logic. We are not building a service or designing service. We are managing the service. That's why we are coming in and looking into the API manager, and to manage which API, our American Flights API. That's why we are selecting the American Flights API.
Okay.
So yeah, and once we go to Exchange here on the top, um, to our app, right? Here also I'll go to XX assets, and so here I have request access button. Do you see this? So people who have this, whoever I send this portal to, they will have this request access. Once they log in, they will see the request access button. So right now I'm also seeing the request access. So this is how
Yes.
request access will be used. So in the request access dialog box, if you click, select the rate limiting based SLA, not the sandbox. You will select the rate limiting based, and then you will select the application, create a new application, and then right now we don't have an application that is so basically whatever we are doing here, we need an application to consume all these services, so that's why we need a application name and all that. So that's how you request access, and then the SLA tier free or silver. Let's just say free for now, and request access. But let's select the new application, create new application. In the application name, let's enter training internal app. Okay, and then create. We don't need, these are all optional bottom ones. So this is my application name, training internal app, and then create. Once you click create, again we are getting the SLA tiers here, and then request access. Now we'll use the free one first. For the free one, what they'll give a client ID and secret. Once we request access, your request has been received and approved automatically because they are requesting for a free access, free tier. In the free tier, in the SLA, we choose to have automatic approvals, right? If you remember, so they have given us the client ID and client secret. So use this client ID, we'll come here and then go to ID, get, and then we'll say number one and send. We got a response, but this is a mocking service, but we are selecting for the rate limiting, and then send. Now we'll get a response involved client ID or secret. That's why we go here, and in the headers we'll, sorry, in the headers we'll say client ID, client secret. To request this access to the API as an external consumer, we are we have to be in this public portal, and in the incognito mode again. On the main page of this application, you should now see request access button. So let's go here and then click this application. You see the request access button. Click on login on the top right, and then you should see a sign in page. To create any point account, enter the existing login credentials, right? Whatever you have. and then click on sign in. We are just signing in as a new session. And here once you log in, you will see the request access button on the top. Click on the request access button now, and then select the rate limiting based SLA based, and then in the new applications, select the training app application, and then create. And then here let's select, now we have already requested for free, now let's select for silver, and then request access. Now your contact already exists in your organization. Let's select another application. Now your request has been received and is pending. Now you see, because I selected the silver tier, now the request has been sent, and now and is pending in pending status. Earlier it was a free account, free tier, so that's why it was auto approved, because we put automatic. Now we have a pending request. So if you see, you'll get a email alert in your mobile or in your emails. So in the emails you will set you'll get pending approval, right? So I'll go to my email and then click on, it will give you a notification, email notification. You can go there, or also you can always go to the API manager here, and then in the application in the API manager, go to American Flights.
So here we are requesting for the silver, like the
Yes.
free and the silver people.
Yes.
Okay. Sir, after requesting in incognito, where we can find the we will get a mail, or
Yeah,
we
you
will
should
get
get an
any
email already. I got an email. Did you get an email?
to my Gmail?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, sir, I got. One
Okay.
is yes, I got.
Okay. Hold on there. So again in the portal, when you click, when you go to this my applications tab, you will see there are two. Right now I have training internal app, and then training internal app 2. So I'll do one thing in the request access. When I requested here, I don't like this internal app 1 app 2, so I'll create a training external app. Okay, not internal. One is internal app, one is external app. So, and then I'll select the silver tier for external request access, close it. Now in the applications tab here on the top, there is home and applications. So basically I have training external app, training internal app. Forget this, the third one, internal app too. So external is silver tier. We requested access and it's not approved yet. But internal app is for free account, and we already got the client ID and secret. This is the current status right now. Are you with me still here?
Just a second, sir.
Kanil, are you okay?
Actually, I just requested the like the free and the silver one, and after that you have created the external app, right? Like in my applications.
Yes. So you requested access. When you requested access, we already requested for the free account. That is the training internal app. And now we created one more app for silver. So basically you come here, my applications, and then click on this training external app. Once you click here, it will take you to this screen. This screen has client ID and client secret for this application. And also
Oh,
you will see this app name which we requested for. Okay.
yeah.
in our API manager. So whatever you do to the API, if you are managing something like policies, SLS and all, you always go to this API manager. In the API manager, I choose this American flights, and in the American flights, I'll select this settings button here. In the settings for the American flights API, on the left side, you see the navigation and contracts here on the top. In the
Yeah.
contracts, see, free is already
Yes.
applied. It's
Yes.
approved also. But
Yes.
but you see this training external app. So right now I'm deleting this app too, which I don't want to confuse you guys. So we have two requests. One is for silver, one is for free. So silver is pending here, the status, right?
Yeah, we can approve from here. So we can approve. Is it so we can approve from here also?
Yeah, this is the place. This is because I am the owner of this application. I get this approve button here. Then
Okay. Instead of email.
yes, email is just for your notification. See, I am doing some other work. Now I got a notification, somebody requested access. Now I log into this AnyPoint platform and I go to API manager, and to which application I got also, it's in the email. Based on that, I go to this application in the settings, in the contracts. So not settings, in the contracts, you'll go here and see, okay, this guy from where this email ID with the client ID of this ID, and is requesting for the access. Now I'll go and click apply, sorry, approve. Once I approve, uh, he must have got the email ID and sorry, client ID and client secret. Now expand the training external app row and review its information. So expand this and you see, we'll just review this, and now we'll go back to our portal here in the incognito mode, and then here try again to make the call to the sandbox rate limiting. So we are going back to our home, click American flights, and then for the ID we are testing this one, right? So don't choose the mocking service, choose the sandbox rate limit, because all the policies and the SLA tires are been applied to this instance, not the mocking instance. We are applied to SLA rate limiting based for this instance. Select that, and then at the bottom, if you click send, you should supposed to get 401 unauthorized, which is good. Now we already got the client ID and client secret, right? Now we'll come here in the header session. Let's enter some value here. One in the header, click on add header, and then in the header name type client ID, client underscore ID. In the client ID, you enter the value of client ID. So where do we get the client ID? We got the client ID from your internal app.
Training external internal app place.
Yeah, here client.
API manager.
Yeah. Paste this client ID here and now send. I think this should not work, but let's see. Okay, it worked. So now I got the client ID and client secret. Now I can request the API, but this is only one per 1 minute, right? Uh, oh, it is marking service. So next I cannot send anymore. Only one per 1 minute, because this client ID and secret I applied for the free tier one. Now I want to test the silver status. So external app, copy the client ID here. Now I'm selecting the silver tier. Client ID, in the ID paste, and in the client secret copy and paste. Now this is for silver tier. How many requests for silver tier? One request for 1 second.
1 second.
So every second I can request one, but if I request immediately, it will not be
Yes.
processed. See? Sometimes if I request too many times, quota has been exceeded. Got it right?
Yes, yes.
So this is how you take the client ID and secret. Once application get approved, then you can go to this my applications, copy the client ID and secret. They will be updated as per the approvals, and then you can use them. That is how you request access and get access, and um, get the access to our application through API manager. Now we have completed this part, and the last part, so we got the response right here. We applied the client secret.
Yes, client ID, client secret.
Perfect. And now let's go to our last module, and that is add client ID enforcement to our API specification. So here you add the client ID enforcement to the API specification. You will modify an API specification to require client ID and client secret headers with request. Update a managed API to use a new version of the API specification. Call a governed API with client credentials from the API protocols. Copy the traits required to add authentication to the API specification. So now we'll add a client ID enforcement policy. So this means that this application is enforced by client ID and client secret. What do you mean by client ID, client secret? That means a username and password. So in the API manager, again, we'll go to this American Flights API, click that. Again, we'll go to the policies tab. Where do we apply policies? In the policies tab. And already we have the rate limiting based SLAs, right? So you can go to that rate limiting, and then select the which one we'll select here, API specification snippet. So in the API specification snippet, you'll have this all codes, right? So right now we are in the RAML 1.0 advanced RAML version. So we'll copy all this straight here. Are you with me, guys? Both Kanil and Saiti?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Copy this RAML 1.0 all the code, and then we are going to our um, API manager. In the API manager again, um, in the policies, we'll go inside this sorry, we'll go to the design center. So design center, open in new tab. In the design center, whatever the changes we make for RAML, we do it in the design center. So we already have this, right? Now let me ask you a question. Now I'm making some changes to the RAML. So what will change when I publish? The version number will change. So here go to the new line after the types, right? After the types, on the line number 7, after the types, just paste this trait. So what we are doing here, we are
Just
trying
a
to,
second.
yeah,
I need to paste in 8th line, like 7th line.
yeah, in between the types and flights, in between after types and before flights, you have to paste the trait which you copied. After you do that, once you paste that, click enter a new line
Sir,
after,
I need to paste down to types, right?
yeah, below types and before
Before
flights.
flights.
Okay, I did it.
Yeah, after you paste it, go to flights and enter a new line here. So right now I am on line 26. You can be at 25 or 26. Let's make it 25 as per the documentation. So under line 25, type is
Mhm.
okay. So in the line number 25, after flights, If you see my screen, I entered ease and then brackets. In the bracket,
About to get, I need to write is.
yes. And then I copy the line number 8 and paste it in the brackets. And copy that entire line 25 and repeat the same step after line 55. And make sure ease and get are in the same line.
Sir, after 23, I need to do it in which line?
After 25, copy that entire line 25 and paste it in line number 56 after ID before get. So we are saying this client ID snippet which we copied from the policy is applying to the RAML specification.
Yeah, okay.
Done?
Yes, sir.
Now let's try it. Okay, now just click on the ID get and then try it and click on the ID as one. Now you will see the client ID and client secret as a new fields requesting, right? Before earlier you didn't see that option if you remember. Now you see the client ID and client secret. Just enter some, you don't enter, just send, you will get a error request, sorry, response. Done so far, line number 56.
Yes, sir. It's
Now
in line
publish.
number 50.
In the publish, you will see the 1.2 version now. I will see now version 3 and then publish.
Now it's version 1.0.2.
2, yeah. It will automatically come. You just have to publish.
Okay.
Now I am coming back to my API manager. Okay, awesome. So once you publish, now you can go back to your runtime manager, sorry, API manager. Select alerts, go to alerts, and then did you click on alerts tab in the API
Yes,
manager?
alerts.
Yeah, in the update, click on the drop down and you will see update asset. So click on the update asset, then you will see the latest and then click on change. So that will change to 0.1.2 for you and 3 for me.
Yes, sir. For me, it's 2.
Now go in and see, now you will see the latest version 3.
Yeah, now it's showing 1.2.
Perfect. Awesome. Then now we are on latest RAML. That means we have applied the client ID enforcement to the API design specification, that is RAML. Now we'll go back to the browser tab with Exchange, right? In our this one private portal. So now we if we just refresh this, now we should be able to see the client ID enforcement. That means if I click, see client ID and client secret are appearing automatically. In before I was creating headers, right? Client ID and client secret. Now it's automatically there, so that customer do not have to create the headers, client ID and client secret. They're automatically there. That is what we have achieved now. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, let's go and check our modules. So we have created all the steps. Now we got the client ID and client secret in the design center. and to update the assets. We have done all these steps, and now you see the client ID and client secret. So for the last time, just for the last time, we'll test the application. Go to the external app, copy the client ID, paste it in the client ID, and go to the client secret, copy it and paste it in the client secret, and enter the ID as 6 and then send. Now I should get a response. Got a response for 6. Perfect. If I send
Yeah.
again, I should get, but uh, if I select the free tier, that means if I select the internal app, it should be only one for 1 minute. So for this testing also, I've selected the client ID. Now I pasted the client ID. Now I selected the client secret, and now I paste the client secret. Once I paste it, now I will be able to send only one request for 1 minute.
Yes.
See, I got a quota has been exceeded error. Too many requests. Perfect. So we just tested all of these. This is how you configure APIs and policies and SLAs. And this will end with quiz, summary, and checkout. And then we are wrapping up the course. So let's see what all we have covered here so far. We have covered the Anypoint platform, Flow Designer. Are you good with Flow Designer? The part one.
Yes, part one is completed.
And API design, did you understand the RAML part?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then API Anypoint platform development fundamentals, like whatever we created the APIs in the Anypoint studio. In the studio we created, right? Database connections and all that.
Yes.
And the data mapping, data view, all that, loggers and
Yeah, mapping loggers and data. The mapping one we will drag.
yes, drag and drop all this.
Data transform.
Transform message, perfect. And then we deployed the application to the Anypoint platform operations, that is CloudHub mainly, and we have seen what a runtime fabric is, what a customer hosted runtime is, and also API management. We have basically discussed about that, but we have went thoroughly through API management and CloudHub, and also we have seen some of the application networks. These are all the tools, things we have covered. So we have basically completed our getting started with Anypoint platform basics. Now you have the basic knowledge of MuleSoft. So I congratulate you on completing this course. Now we will go into the advanced version from the next class from tomorrow. Okay,
Okay, sir.
any questions so far?
No.
No, sir.
Okay, great. Awesome.
So this is all like a basics for MuleSoft.
Yeah,
To get started with MuleSoft, we need to learn all these basics. Then from the next class, we're going to learn more about that.
correct. So this will be your, if you join job now, even now, if client customer comes and asks you to create API, you will at least be able to know from where to start. You will first design a RAML, and then you will create a API based on the RAML
API.
specifications, and then you
It's
use
not only basic, it's almost like a kind of hands-on on MuleSoft development itself.
Yeah,
Big-
I learned many things regarding database and
Yeah,
API platforms, exchange. Thank you, sir.
nice.
you know how to test the APIs, right? From the
Yes, yes. And also now after testing, developing and managing, deploying, mm,
yes,
and writing policies. And the last one, SLA.
yes, very good, very good. Yeah, Vijay, do you have?
Actually, I think I need to go with the third part, I guess. That one, the data transform. If I go with the live webinar for one time, then I am good like in this whole session. That will take hardly a day, I guess. So I will try to finish I will go through all this by tomorrow or day after tomorrow
Okay,
for my clarity. Okay.
all right. Vijay, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, that's all. I think good. Yeah. Yeah, all I wanted to say is just try to understand the concepts as well, not just like, hey, we have to complete this assignment, let's do it. Yeah, but try to just think through in a practical way and understand the concept, and also try to learn surrounding concepts also, because Joe cannot complete everything. Even if, I mean, even if we take like 2 3 months, we cannot cover everything, right? Sometimes it come, those concepts will come directly in the project itself. So learn as much as you can. I mean, even the client doesn't expect that you know everything. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, all you have to know is like this, whatever Joe covered till now, till creating RAML, deploying, testing, and M units, and the best practices of REST API.
Yeah, parameters get post, delete.
Yeah, get post and delete, and HTTP methods. Yeah, but yeah, I feel that you guys are, yeah, I mean, you guys are working hard, man. Yeah, because I have taken many batches till now. Even I trained some of the people, but they did not perform this much. At least you guys know what you are doing, and yeah, thanks, Joe, for giving a hands-on working sessions as well.
Yeah, I put all my 100% because I also check with the timings and made sure everybody are attending, doing it with me. I put my 100%. Now it's up to you guys. I also made sure you also put all the dedication as much as I did in these sessions we covered, right? So hope you will keep this up and keep practicing and remember all the concepts, right? Then it will be useful.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate your patience and going through this basic. Now you are actually you are ready for applying jobs and get started on the interviews. Once you step
Yeah.
inside, you'll explore more.
Yeah. So, Joe, once you complete, I'll take another like 2 or 3 sessions, like
Okay.
like what vendor expects from when we submit resume and all those. Yeah, I'll take it from there.